to Bear It All podcast. My name is Brittany Lowe, and today I'm with Kara Liotta, who is a celebrity trainer, a Wilhelmina fitness model, and the founder of KK Sweat, one of the hottest workouts in New York City. Thank you so much.
What an intro. Thank you.
I am an avid, loyal attendee at KK Sweat.
Yes, you are.
And I have to tell you, you changed my life.
Oh, would you just stop?
No, I started coming to KK Sweat, or I discovered KK Sweat maybe a year or two ago.
Sounds about right.
And I, before that, was going to all these different boot camps and workouts, and I would go 5 or 6 times a week, and I was just not feeling stronger.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, a friend from Florida was like, you have to go to KK Sweat. Luckily, it was a walk from my apartment, and I tried it out, and now I finally feel strong, and it's not only a mental outlet, but it definitely has changed my body, it's changed my mindset, and you've created such a fun community. I think I live for when you call my name out in
Brittany.
class, so.
It's genuine, I promise. Genuine shout out for Brittany Lowe.
So I just have to say, it's so fun. I now go multiple times a week, and you've built such an incredible community, workout, and so I just wanted to hear more about, how did you start?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I love you. You're one of my favorite new friends from KK Sweat. So love and appreciate you. How did I start? KK Sweat started as a pandemic business, and it's founded by me and my partner, Kate. We're business partners and we're life partners. Like, we are together as a couple.
So much
There's a lot to unpack right
yes.
about in that little soundbite. But yeah, so we're together, and she and I worked for a boutique fitness company, Flywheel, for many, many years prior to the pandemic. So Kate headed up much of the cycling portion, like spin.
Okay.
And then I did the strength training. Specifically, it's called Fly Bar. So the bar program. So she and I worked not parallel paths, but we had pretty senior roles within Flywheel. We were there for a very long time, and did all the things like leading the expansion, recruiting instructors, training, opening new studios, master instructors, all of it. She was spin and I was bar, and that's actually how we met. Wow. And that's actually how we got together. We're a very fitness couple.
Okay, because you and
You're
both
pause.
are the most rich, healthy,
That's very nice.
active couple I know. I was like, wait, how did this all happen? So it all started at Flywheel / Fly Bar.
Yes.
And when you say you help lead the expansion, that means you would go to the different studios and help train the new instructors and whatnot? Yeah.
Flywheel started in maybe 2010. I guess I probably joined 2011. I might be off by a year, but ish. And then kind of shortly after, before that I was a dancer and I taught a little bit of yoga, but that's really where I started my fitness career, was at Flywheel, specifically bar. And it just started to do really well. And early, I was early New York City boutique fitness scene, and everything was buzzing. And then the company decided to expand to markets outside of New York City. So Kate and I ended up, traveling around to the major, Atlanta, Boston, LA, some of those major Chicago cities outside of New York. And we were scouting the talent, we were literally building new fitness studios from the ground up, which is exactly what we're doing with KK Sweat. So yeah, so we were on the road for a good portion of time. And she was doing cycling and I was doing bar, and yeah, the rest is history. Then 10 years later, then there was a pandemic.
Wow. So 2011, you start at Flywheel / Fly Bar.
Yes.
And then the pandemic is in 2020. So were you working at Fly Bar at the time?
Oh, yes.
And then I'm assuming you didn't have too much to do in person in the peak of the pandemic.
That is correct. So March of 2020, fitness in the city closed down. Obviously, everything closed down.
Office,
everything closed down. Yes. And it was pretty early on that Kate and I decided to really quickly pivot. And we're okay, we love teaching fitness. We have this group of people who have been working out with us for years. So I don't even remember the date that all the studios closed down, but I know the date of KK Sweat, March 21st, 2020.
Whoa,
so it was we literally threw up a business over a weekend. I kid you not, threw up a website on Squarespace with some help from a friend. We named it. I don't even know how the name, we were just KK Sweat. That's what it's called. Some people.
Kara.
Yes. KK Sweat. Obviously. Yeah. But some people were you must have been planning this for years. Absolutely not.
Did you ever think about having your own company?
100%.
Okay. And that you both wanted to start a company?
More me. I always like knew that like I wanted to evolve my own bar program, my own like strength training, low impact kind of thing on my own. I just wasn't ready to leave like the security of having a job at Flywheel. And I'm generally more of a risk averse kind of person. So it just, you know, took a light pandemic, just took a light pandemic for KK Sweat to be born. And here we are to tell the tale.
And so I remember in the pandemic, I had some fitness instructors who were doing virtual workouts and they would do it on Instagram Live. Yeah. And it's great. How did you build your community where they would not only take your workout, but pay for a workout so it truly was a business versus more of a video reel or something?
Right. Well, when we rolled in with KK Sweat over the weekend, I mean, we charged like from the start, like period, end of story, like it was a business. Like we were we were on Zoom.
Free workouts.
No, I was simultaneously doing some work with Women's Health Magazine, which was great. And I was doing like some like Instagram lives, which was awesome for exposure. And like, so for me in my mind, I was like, okay, like I'm offering this for free over here. Right. And then I'm running my business over here. But eventually then those two kind of collide because it's like, I can't appear over here for free forever when I'm like that. My business is my livelihood. And it's not even just me, but it was like me and Kate together. We both lost our jobs, lost our benefits at the same time. So whatever we were doing, yes, it's fun and it's fitness, but it's also our profession and our craft. So yes.
Did you ever also envision going into business with your partner?
Absolutely not. I mean, absolutely not. No, we did not. We work very well together and we complement each other extremely well, I would say.
Very well.
Very well. Thank you.
You're very similar, but also very different.
Yeah, I think we're actually very different.
Yeah. I think you have very similar interests. You seem very different.
Our personalities are very different. I am definitely more of like the like stressed out, high strung, crazy go-getter, like type A insane one, just to put it lightly. And she's like way more even keeled, which is a great balance. She's a little bit more calm than I am, but we're working on it. Yeah, but we're a good complement to one another.
And so it's the pandemic, you both lose your jobs, you have no benefits, you decide to start this company. Mm-hmm. How did you decide where the boundaries were with your roles as you built KK Sweat, like home versus work was all in the same place? How does this all
that's a great question.
Successfully?
Oh my gosh, that was like a work in progress. The beginning of it, I mean, everything was like new. And for me, it was actually really exciting. I think I actually loved developing like the early stages of KK Sweat, like in the pandemic on Zoom, like, because for me, it was like something I knew I wanted for a long time. It just like took something crazy for me to actually do it. So for me, it was like really fulfilling like a purpose. And I was like, this is exactly what I've wanted to do for a long time. And I'm doing it. For Kate, it was a little bit harder because she was coming from spin and she taught a bit of spin in the beginning of the pandemic, but then like, she was just kind of like maxed out on teaching like spin on Zoom from home. Like she didn't feel the passion of it like I felt like teaching my stuff. So it took us like years of kind of like sort of narrowing down what our product offerings were. Like in the beginning, we're like, let's do everything. Like we got a HIIT class. We used to teach this insane HIIT class called Shred where we would do like burpees and like, it was like crazy pandemic, like 60 minutes of insanity that I would like never do now. I'm not that person, but it was just like, we were doing everything we possibly could. And I would say over time, we've gotten more niche and been like, okay, we are really excellent at, and we're most passionate about low impact, high energy strength training workouts that are on a mat. And like, then we kind of like, you know, edited things back and our roles fell a little bit more naturally into place, I would say. But the boundaries is hard. I mean, we work together, we own a small business together, we live together, everything's together. So that's hard. Yes.
Your success is intermingled.
That is correct.
Failures are also intermingled.
That is correct.
Wow. that is amazing. And I do think then you can also celebrate the wins together.
100%.
To the extent that if you have a partner that's supporting you just doesn't get it as much as you truly having like a business/life partner.
Agreed. 100%. That's well put.
Yeah.
Great word.
But so you launched the digital aspect in March 2020.
Yeah. Just on Zoom.
On Zoom in your apartment. And how did you build a community?
Well, honestly, it was all word of mouth.
Wow.
Like, we did not do any paid advertisement. I mean, we started a new business, right, but we weren't new to the fitness industry. We had a following because we had been around for 10 years, you know? So thankfully, people followed us. I mean, they loved our workouts from Flywheel. So when we're like, okay, we're popping up on Zoom, they came right along with us, which is like, you know, we're so grateful for. I also think the timing of, we literally didn't miss a beat, which is so unlike me to like not overthink something to like the death of like perfecting it before the product is ready. And this couldn't have been more opposite, because it was like, well, we're open on Monday, and we're like trying to figure out how to like host a Zoom. Literally, we're like, how do you share sound on Zoom? Yeah, it's literally, it was. That's exactly what was happening like on Sunday. So it was like a non-perfect product. We just started. We had a community that was like there to support us and wanted what we could offer. And then it just like grew organically. And then we added more. And now we have a studio and you come.
I go religiously.
Yeah.
So the thing is, there's times like I go to classes, whether it's on ClassPass or classes, and I'll just go based on the time.
Yeah.
There's other places where I go based on the person. Fair. I think there's a difference in there, and building that loyalty is much harder than just having a good time slot.
Agreed.
At a random studio. So what were maybe 3 things that you did when you were at Fly Bar where maybe you did something a little extra special to really get that loyalty from the customers that you had?
You know, I'll credit Kate for this. She was at Flywheel, like literally that she was the instructor number 1, like started the company. She had, prior to that, she was at SoulCycle. And she did an amazing job because she loved the bar program that was developing across the hallway that I was teaching. This was pre-loving me. She just loved the product. Just so we're clear. She did an amazing job of like, she's just a natural community builder. And so for her, every single person that went in to spin, she'd be like, come on across the hallway. Like, you got to try Flybar. It's an amazing compliment. It's amazing. So she sort of naturally like helped me because I was just starting. Like, I was literally a fitness instructor starting my career. So then that community sort of started to build between the two of us. We were friends first. And then it was like, you know, introducing people to these complimentary offerings. You get cardio over here on your bike. You get your strength training, low impact over here at bar. So that philosophy of like creating a fitness community and like bringing people sort of along for the ride with us was, I think, pioneered by Kate. And it just naturally, I think that it's like both of our personalities that just like works for us. And so that was something that we just like kind of continue to carry over to KK Sweat, is like building community through fitness.
But I also think that even watching you now, you know so much about, you know, the kids' names, you know, their pets, you know where they live.
This is
and
true.
So did you do any, because that's almost like, you're like a mini CRM system where you have all these data points of all these people that you never forget.
I mean, that's not untrue. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, it's authentic. I'll tell you that. It's authentic. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm pretty good with names, I guess, or like face to name. And it's really important for us to, like, to your point, like, you know, we're a small business. We don't have that many classes on the schedule yet, but new instructors coming to KK Sweat very soon. But again, we're a small business. And so for us, like, our relationships with people are really important. Just like they were at Flywheel, Fly Bar, same thing with KK Sweat. If there's like something that we carried over, it's like creating community and having relationships with people. So I just think it's so important to like say people's names. And to your point, like, I don't want to be a fitness studio that somebody just like kind of comes in and out. Like, I want to be a little bit more of someone's life.
Yeah. You want to be more high touch.
Yeah, I do. And I want like our products to speak to that.
Yeah. And it
does. And thank you. I don't know if I gave you 3 things, but I gave you maybe like a 1.5 with a story about me and Kate in the background.
Do you ever need to find their own Kate?
Yes, everyone needs to find a Kate. Kate's the pioneer of the community. Yes.
Order like Kate.
Yes.
Then it's like being mindful of understanding important details, or at least their names, so that people feel a part of what you're teaching.
Yes.
And the community that you're creating.
Yeah. Names are so important. I mean, even like, it's so funny. This is just my personal teaching style, but whenever I record on-demand workouts, like, I love to give people shout outs. Like, even on demand. It's so funny because if I'm working like with whatever, I mean, production team gets a big quote because our team is like a little baby team. But when I'm working with our team that is helping me to produce our on-demand content, they're like, it's so funny that you're like in this room by yourself and you're like, get it, Brittany, get it, Heather. But for me, it's like I have gotten the feedback that somebody doing an on-demand workout, they love that. They're like, wait, is she talking to me through the screen? So that's just like my own personal teaching style. But I think it really like breaks down a wall and brings people into the experience and makes it like way more personable. And I've gotten great feedback on it, and it's just kind of naturally what I do. So I'm going with it.
I love that. So when did you launch and open your brick and mortar studio?
Well, like 2 years into the business. Was it 2022? I should know that, but it was May of 2022-ish.
And I think I started November of 2022.
I know, right? I'm like, now what year was it that we opened the studio? 2 years into KK Sweat. So I think 2022 is an accurate.
Wow.
Yes.
And so do you have a business background?
No. I was a dancer. Literally, I have never had like a 9-to-5 job. I was in college. After college, I danced professionally for like a little sprinkling, like around the world. I was like a little bit of music theater, more like contemporary, a little mix, but it was a short stint of dancing. I was like in Colombia, I was in Mexico, I was traveling. And then I moved here, fun fact, to audition to be a New York City Rockette, which is funny to me now because I feel as though I could not be more opposite. Love and respect the Rockettes. We go every year. It's just like not who I am in my fitness era. But I was like trying to be a dancer.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to be a performer. Started teaching yoga because I got into yoga in college, and then it just kind of like
transition.
Yeah, I pretty quickly realized like, oh, fitness, like this is it for me. Like there's a performance quality, there's a creative aspect of it that I like, but there's something about like, I don't know, being with people and like the movement and the strength of it and the confidence of it that like really appealed to me.
And you love being with people, but you also have a great stage presence even in the workout that makes sense. It's almost like sometimes I knew since second grade I wanted to have a beauty company and I had blinders on.
Wow.
But I always say that was a blessing and a curse because sometimes when you're so focused on a specific path, you don't allow these organic opportunities to open up, and you can still get to that end goal that you have, but you can take these side steps and almost sometimes get there a little bit quicker. And so to contrast my experience with yours is that you were a little bit more open to these iterations of, okay, I like dance, but what do I like about dancing? Okay, maybe I can apply that to fitness.
Yes.
Oh, I like fitness, but there's also a little bit more in me than just, building out someone else's program. I know I want to do my own.
100%.
And I love that because it wasn't crazy different changes, but you were open to like taking those leaps when they presented themselves, and you got to this really fascinating destination.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Well put. Yes.
And so was it different starting the virtual version of the business than the studio?
100%. I mean, the studio is literally like our little baby passion project. Like it sort of fell into our lap in that like, a client of ours, her family owns a bunch of commercial real estate around the city. And she was so kind. And into the pandemic, when we were on Zoom, she was like, if you guys ever end up opening your own studio, like, let's chat. Like, I would love to help you out in finding like your space. I know where you taught Flybar, which was 1 block away from where the KK Sweat studio is on 20th Street. So yeah, the studio was like from the ground up, just like gritty, figuring it out on our own with the help of like a very good friend, Casey, who works on our team, does like all things for KK Sweat. It's a major support to the business. But it was like the three of us like figuring it out. Like we had never done anything like that before, like building it out, picking the floor, installing the mirrors and the bars and ordering the equipment and figuring out the aesthetic. Like we painted the floor ourselves, like very gritty. Yes, like gritty women doing it on our knees, scrubbing the floor from the ground up. Yeah. So it was the hardest thing I've ever done is building out that studio. But obviously, like, it's our little baby. And we're so like, yes, we're so grateful for it. We can't even believe the classes are like sold out. People are, as you know, working out in the lobby.
Like, oh my God, the wait list is all on top of this.
It's crazy because I remember when we first opened, I was like, okay, how are we going to fill this many classes a week? Like, how are we going to do it? How am I going to get people to know about our business? And, you know,
how did you do it?
Word of mouth, thank goodness. And we really started to lean into like events and partnerships.
Okay.
So we would do, I mean, I feel like Thea was an early one, right?
Yes.
Speaking of which, yeah, it's just like as much, you know, saying yes to everything. Any event that we could host at the studio, bringing people in, getting exposure, you know, TikTok helped us a lot, which is also funny because we're like barely even on TikTok, but coming soon. But like other like girls coming to the studio and posting on TikTok, and that like leads to that like social media helping us with like organic growth, just getting more eyeballs on the business. Yeah, but it was really like events. Like we were like, let's host this. Let's partner with this person. Let's use our network. You are literally a part of our network. Helped us grow our business in the earlier stages of the studio. So that's how, like, so all organic.
If someone wanted to open up, whether it's a studio or bakery, something brick and mortar, what would be your top 3 things that you need to do? That's right.
Oh my gosh, great question.
If someone wanted to open up a brick and mortar store, whether it's a service like a fitness workout or a bakery, what would be the first 3 things that you would tell them to focus on?
Oh my gosh.
It seems like the studio build out and aligning with your aesthetic.
Yes.
A big piece of that.
Yeah, and I think delegating tasks.
Okay.
I'm saying this after I'm like, we did everything. But like our partner Casey really helped us with a lot. Like you can't do everything. And I think as a small business in particular, like you want to. So like delegating and realizing like what you're good at, and like for the best interest of the business, like delegating who's going to do what is extremely important.
But what if someone doesn't have a lot of money to delegate?
Neither do we. We are a self-funded, small female-founded business. So we just figured it out. We just figured it out.
Along the journey.
We brought, yeah. And we were like resourceful. I would say we were resourceful. We were not afraid to ask for help. It's like from anyone. And you know, I think building out a new business, it's funny that you said bakery because there's bakeries in my family. My grandfather owned a bakery. So it's funny, of all the businesses that you chose, you're like, what? Yeah. It's like, ask your network. I think it's important to ask your network. And in the beginning, there was a moment where I was a little bit like hesitant to do that. But the second we started asking our network just for help, even if it's like, can you point me in the right direction to get the right contractor to help me build this for the studio because I have no clue what I'm doing. We were so surprised about how many people within our network like just wanted to help because they loved us and they wanted to see us succeed. So I would say like reaching out to your network to ask for help is like mission critical.
Wow, that's really, I think that's like the biggest takeaway I'm gathering, because you do have an incredible network, and even your space you got through your network.
Through our network, yeah.
And that is a big investment.
Yeah.
And to have someone that really believes in you,
I know,
and trusts you, and like sees your vision, I think is fascinating.
Yeah.
And so how many classes a week do you teach?
Ooh, girl, how many classes do I teach? A lot, maybe 12-ish. Wow. 11, maybe 11 isn't accurate. Okay, 11. So 11, Kate's on a couple. 12. Natalie's on like a little handful. Yeah. And then at the moment we are training some new instructors coming to KK Sweat very soon, which we're excited about.
So excited.
It's time to build the team. That is what we're working on right now, is scaling our product.
And is your vision, because you have all these incredible digital workouts that people can access all around the world.
Yes.
And then you have this in-person class offering at your Flatiron studio. And so I see instructors go into 2 different directions, where it's like more studios, more classes, or you sometimes see it's really built upon the founder, and then they create more of a brand, like a Melissa Wood, right, where it's a lot of digital and maybe more branded events here and there, but it's less studio focused. Where do you think KK Sweat's going?
I was going to say like the opposite of that. I mean, we're a studio business, but our live stream is like, I'm obsessed with it. I mean, it's just such a great way that like something that we took out of the pandemic, because that's how we started, is, you know, we have clients that don't live here. They live all over the world. So for them to be able to live stream into the studio experience is like amazing. And for us, it just opens the aperture, like how many people we could possibly have working out with us in this one specific time slot. So we're a hybrid business. I mean, we have the studio, you could live stream in. We also have a separate on-demand library. But I think for us, it's like, I would like to build out our on-demand library more. That's one of the main reasons, one of the reasons that we're bringing on more of a team, so that I'm not doing everything. So it's not just me doing all of the things. But yeah, it's a hybrid model. with a studio, I would say like really being like our core baby.
Got it. Okay. So it's really not even
in person.
The demand videos are great to have and you want to build upon it, but the biggest opportunity that you see is getting more people on your live stream.
Yeah. Well, I feel like our live stream experience is such a great offering, and it lets people who don't necessarily, like if you have a restriction because you don't live live in New York City, like you're able to join this like very cool New York City boutique fitness experience with excellent instructors, whoever they may be. And for me, I feel like I know that I feel the most authentically myself when I'm literally in that room teaching my classes. Like that's how I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like that is like if I ever question myself in my career and what I'm doing, I'm like, okay, I feel my most authentic self when I'm in that room with music on and my people and I'm teaching fitness. And so for me to be able to share that like live experience with people, like, you know, that's like me fulfilling my passion. And I think people feel that too.
Yeah. And I love that you have that self-awareness, because I think it's important when you look at a business, there's so many different angles that you can look at it, or so many different revenue streams. Mm-hmm. And when you look at it on paper, I think data, of course, is important, but ultimately it has to like align with what the founder intrinsically feels motivated by and inspired by. And so for you to know that you need to be in that room, I think has given probably you a lot of clarity on what the next steps are for
Yeah. And it's also, you know, to be honest, in the past couple of years, just because we've been focused on literally building out the studio, I haven't had as much time for on demand, but I love to film on demand. I just need a team to like do it. And, you know, I know that some people, like if the time slot doesn't work, they love the on demand offering, and our on demand offering is really solid. It's very good. Oh, thank you.
You can film right in studio.
Yes. Yes, actually, that is another thank goodness for Casey McBride. But she worked with like a set designer who like literally build out Broadway sets to create this like convertible set that it's stored behind that big black wall. Wow. It's like 4 sections, and we pull it out and we like screw it together. It's like a Broadway production, and that's our little backdrop. And then we like light it nicely, and that's how we film our on-demand content.
Wow! So going back to your network.
Yeah.
You have worked with your Astro Network. Yes. More connections.
That's correct.
You have a Broadway.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, that's true.
Love that.
That is accurate.
And so, how did you meet Casey? Was it
oh my gosh.
Fly Bar?
Yes, Casey was a Fly Bar client. She would take my class, and we were friends. We were friendly. She lives in the neighborhood we live in Williamsburg, and she's just like a great friend and like wants to help.
Wow.
And
I love that.
Yeah. And we would like ask her to lean in on like different projects. She has a flexible job. So she would lean in on a little project here. And then we were just like, can we like bring you on? Like, do you want to help us more and more? And she's just like the most lovely human.
She really
and helps with who knows what we might need help with, and like is like the backbone of that studio.
Wow. And I do believe that finding the right people who can understand your vision and treat it like it's their own baby is so crucial to be able to move the needle for the business.
100%. The people are the most important.
Yes, I agree. And so it's 12 classes a week.
That's just me. We're running like 18 or so right now.
And growing, which is
growing.
But you specifically teach for 12 hours a week. That is a lot. I work 5 to 6 times a week. I'm like, oh, that's a lot. You teach double, and you also try out different studios on top of that. You do your on demand on top of that. So, what is your day-to-day?
Oh my gosh,
schedule? Like, what time do you wake up?
4:45 a.m. That's if I'm teaching at 7 a.m. But I teach at 7 a.m. 3 days of the week. So 4:45, we're just rise and shine.
Are you a morning person?
Yes, please. I am like night, like. Before this podcast started, you're like, do you go out? And I'm like, no. Like rarely. I'm like, define go out. Dinner at 6:30 p.m. Yes, dinner at 6:30 p.m. That's my definition of going out. But yeah, I'm an early morning person, as many fitness people are. Get up at like 4:45-ish, pretty early.
What time do you go to bed?
Oh, 9:30.
Okay.
Maybe 10. Depends on if I'm having insomnia at the moment or we're sleeping well, but between 9:30 and 10.
And are you strict on having a certain amount of hours of sleep in order to have the right
I should be.
day.
But my sleep goes in and out. I had really, really great sleep. And then I think just like the stress of owning a business started to affect my sleep. So I go in and out. Sometimes I'm on like a wave of just like really having trouble sleeping. And then other times I'm like, nighty night, out like a light. Yeah. So just kind of, I think, situational.
And before you head to the studio, is there any morning routines? Like, what do you do once you wake up?
Once I wake up, I have coffee straight away. I'm a black coffee gal in the morning.
So you don't care about, so you are fitness girly.
Yes.
You know, like the glucose levels and spiking.
I don't.
Coffee,
no.
More water. Okay, cool.
I don't actually. Nope. I am right to the coffee. Right to the coffee. Yes. And usually, my mornings, like when I'm home, I'm around for like an hour and then I'm getting to the studio so that I'm commuting to the studio. I don't really eat. I'm not eating at that hour. It's like dark outside. But I'm usually just like reviewing my classes, going over my music, going over my playlist, putting on some random assortment of clothing, no makeup. Just, we got to get out the door.
Yes.
We got to get caffeinated. We got to get out. Yes. That's true. And I'm like, the class will not start if I'm not there. Yeah. So then I'm making my way into the city. I usually get to the studio at like 6:50 in the morning.
6:15?
Yeah, 6:15 a.m. if I'm teaching the 7 a.m. class.
Okay, so you have some time to unwind, prepare before you begin class.
Correct.
Are you eating breakfast on the way to work?
No. I like to, this fluctuates too. I like to intermittent fast a bit. However, sometimes just kind of like whatever's going on in the world hormonally, however I'm feeling, sometimes I'm more hungry than others. And so if I'm feeling hungry, I'm not going to not eat. However, I usually will eat after class. Sometimes I'll try to wait till like noonish.
Oh, wow.
So I go like a good, maybe like 15 or 16 hours.
Wow.
Like from eating dinner the night prior. But if I'm starving, then I'll eat. I usually eat like light, like hard boiled eggs, or I cut back like sugar and processed food in the last like year and a half. That said, the one processed thing I do eat is I love Pro Mix bars. They're like super clean whey protein. So I usually have, that's like the one bar that I eat. So I'll have that like sometimes after class, or like that's my like break fast first thing I'll eat in the day.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yes, it's a little like protein bar.
And I remember at one point, maybe last year, like you've always been super fit. But then there was this point where you like, Kara is the most ripped, has the most insane body.
Oh my gosh, well thank you.
I remember her workout to see her in like the whole thing. But
that's very nice. That's very nice. Thank you.
I remember asking you that like, one day when
I remember that
out east, and you said you changed a few different things.
Yes.
What did you change?
Okay. That was a moment. I did a few things. I really started to like hone into mindful eating.
Okay.
And I realized that a lot of my eating was out of fatigue and routine, like habitual, like I'm like a really structured routine kind of person. So like to the point where like I get home and I go to the same spot in my apartment and I get a snack. Like it's a part of my day. That's what my body does. That's where it goes. Like, and I was just like started to become way more mindful about my eating choices, to notice like, if I'm not hungry, why am I eating? Or sometimes in the afternoon, as one would imagine when you wake up at 4:45 a.m., I'm pretty tired in like the 3 o'clock hour. And I realized that around that time, I was often, not always, but often like mistaking being tired for hungry, which is common. And I didn't know that until doing a little research on it. So like that little afternoon lull where I would always like have some type of snack that was maybe a little sugary, or just like, I don't know, maybe a little higher calorie than I now would eat for an afternoon snack. I just started to like pay attention to those things and note, like, am I eating out of boredom? Am I eating because I'm tired? Am I eating out of routine? Or like, am I actually legitimately hungry? And just made like little edits with specifically sugar and processed food. I used to snack on a lot of bars, like kind of throughout the day, a bar here, a bar there, but a lot of them like have a lot of calories if have like a lot of nuts or nut butter in them. And then I didn't feel like I was actually satiated. Like, I don't know. I work out all the time. I walk around the city all the time. Like I'm an active person. Like I require a lot of food, but I'm like, if I'm just having like little snacks here and there, it almost made me more hungry. I need to have like a proper meal with a substantial amount of protein to feel satiated and energized. And I just like, it's literally mindful eating.
Wow.
So I cut the bars, I cut the snacks, and the biggest thing that I cut was, when I tell you, I still have a sweet tooth. I'm just like a more mature human about my sweet tooth. But I would eat my sweet, which was sometimes like a sweet plate. Kate is totally gonna be laughing if she hears that we're talking about the sweet plate. But like I would eat dessert every single night. Every single night after dinner, like I would have a sweet. I would have my sweet plate. It could be fruit. It could be dark chocolate. It could be like a random bar. It could be a cookie. I don't know what it was. But it's like, when you have sugar, like it's like addicting. Yeah. Sugar is addicting. And so I went cold turkey on the sweet plate situation.
Wow.
And I cut it out of my diet. And probably, no, because it was more like habitual. It was more like, this is a part of my day. When my dinner is over, I have my little sweet and then I go to bed. And so for me, it was more like breaking a pattern and breaking a habit. And probably, let's say maybe 3 months after I was doing that is probably when you were like, girl, what's going on? You were like, girl, girl, I was doing some KK sweat as I do. I increased my walking. I got really into taking a lot of steps and I cut down on my sugar. That was it.
Wow.
I cut out my dessert.
Okay, I need to work on that because I am currently in a sugar addiction.
You can't have one bite. Like it's hard.
I know.
I also love eating. Like I love food and I work out all the time. It's just, that was like a really like a specific thing for me that like I couldn't even believe how it made a difference.
Wow. And so sometimes I ask myself, Brittany, are you eating because you're hungry or are you eating because you're bored?
Yeah.
And sometimes like I respond back to myself and say, I'm eating because I'm bored, but I want it.
Fair enough.
And
yes.
I'm like, I still want it.
You're
so how did you, I think there's a difference of like, sometimes I know what I'm about to eat is going to be like, make my stomach hurt or whatever, but I still eat it. So how did you actually
You're like, and then I still make the negative choice because it feels good.
Information, but I'm still going to continue forward with that.
That is a great question. In the beginning, it was literally just discipline. Like it wasn't fun. It was not the most fun thing I've ever done. However, I just was like super committed to sticking it out. I would say it kind of sucked for like 2 weeks. It's not that long.
No.
After 2 weeks, it was wild to me how much that was a part of my like everyday routine and my structure and my habits that I was just like, okay, I don't even think about it anymore. So the first 2 weeks are literally, you have discipline with yourself and you're trying something out. After that, I like didn't think about it anymore. I don't crave sugar like I used to. It just kind of sucks to start. So I don't that is the discipline portion of it. No, I ate a perfectly great dinner with a decently large portion size. I eat plenty of food. I just like cut out some crap.
Wow. Okay. So like skim the fat off.
And clean it up a little bit.
Keep everything else.
And protein.
And do you count how much protein you're having?
I don't do like my macros. I think for me, like that can get into like an obsession land. So I'd rather not go too far down. There have been times where if I have an event or something, I will food journal.
Okay.
And when I started to like really get into the mindful eating, I was doing a food journal for myself because I was literally trying to understand my own body and like my exercise routine and my activity level. And I was trying to figure out what works for my body and what made me feel full and like satiated and not hungry all the time. Because I think like the little bars and little snacks here and there were making me feel hungry all the time. And then I would eat more. And then before you know it, it's like several hundred calories of like random snacks, but you still feel hungry. So that's what I would say.
Wow. And then going into that piece of tracking, so it's protein, is it, and you eat meat?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually used to only eat for the longest time. I was a pescatarian. Then I started to like kind of implement like chicken and turkey. And then honestly, over the last, not even that long, like maybe under a year, I just like, I don't know, added red meat back in.
Wow.
Kate's been the Texas gal. Kate makes a great steak. She's like, thankfully.
steak for dinner tonight.
Yes, which is new. She's like, can we please implement a new protein? So now we have red meat.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you feel better, worse?
Same. I don't really notice. It's just, for me, it's good variety.
Okay.
Because like our dinner, she cooks. She is the chef in the household. And I also have her to thank for helping me to change my body. Because like we didn't really eat out much. And we still don't eat out too much. We do to like enjoy ourselves. Like Saturday night is like our thing. But she cooks dinner at home like 6.5 nights a week. Yeah, like
So again, we all need to find a Kate.
I know. Give it up for Kate. Yes. So she loves to cook, and I'm grateful for her cooking. I am not as good of a cook as Kate is, but we eat like very simple, but it's like a protein and like several vegetables.
Okay.
So for us, it was like diversifying, like, what is that protein? Are we having chicken? Are we having salmon? Now it's like, are we having a turkey burger? Are we having like, what are we now adding red meat, like helps us to diversify like what we're having for dinner.
And do you think it's just as important to have vegetables for every meal?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. We eat like 3 sides of vegetables. We always make sure there's a green. We make sure we're getting a nice variety of colors. Oh yeah. We're very,
and then
yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is really helpful because if there's someone like myself getting married next year.
Yes, she is.
Sometimes you see people who like have this goal and they take unhealthy measures of, I just need to lose weight to look a certain way. And I think with you, like you look so strong.
Thank you.
And so what would be the top, like what would you say for anyone who's looking to feel stronger, maybe like a little tighter, but want to do it in a healthy way?
I can definitely speak to that because I feel like that's exactly what I did. Also for me, noticing the changes in my body was really surprising because I'm a fitness person who's used to being so active. So to be able to do something that I saw actually made a change was like surprising to me. So for me, reducing sugar, even a little, reducing doesn't mean eliminating.
Okay.
Reducing means take a baby step. And is there like something that you could cut out? Like, that's like not serving you. It's literally crap. But but I know it helps our mind sometimes. Yes. And we have to be humans. So I'd say reducing sugar, reducing processed like packaged food overall, and walking. I'm a big walk. You probably hustle all around. You're walking. Come on now. You've got the phone. You've got the cheekbones. The skin is looking great. You're walking through New York. Yes.
No, it's funny because I have a nutritionist and she's like, Brittany, all I need you to focus on right now is to walk. She's like, you don't really walk. Like I go to your studio. Like I would go even if I had to take a subway or whatever, but I am lazy. And I go because I can walk and it's 10 minutes away. But if I have to go see a friend and I have to walk like 15 minutes, like I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
really?
do I need to like bundle up? Like am I gonna make it? Like
am I gonna make it?
I have a lot of thoughts when it hits the
you need to
walk.
So what do? Uber around the city or cab around the city? Brittany.
I know because I'm also running I know. I'm gonna start taking calls while I walk.
Yeah.
I've been trying. I was tracking my steps and I was trying out a hot girl walk in the summer, and that was a great way to like socialize without thinking about walking. And then the winter season came. The winter season came. I understand that. My office being 2 blocks away from where I live doesn't really help. So I need to find ways, but that really, if that's what helped you, I do now get why she's pushing.
Walking for me is the most underrated thing. Like I was not a believer that walking can change my body. I was like, there's no way. It's not enough impact. It's not strenuous enough. I had all of those thoughts. And then I started walking and then my body changed.
Wow.
I really was, I was like, nah, not enough. Yeah, I was one of those people.
And did you think it made you tinier?
Yes.
Okay.
It actually helped me to shrink down my lower body, which is my hard part. It's easier for me, like if I'm going to lose a little weight, like just my genetics and my build, I have an Italian family and we're all curvy gals. And like we tend to have more weight in our lower body. So like for me, losing weight around like my hips and thighs is harder for me naturally. And I was just kind of, I don't know. I never thought that I could without like restricting calories to some level that was like not attainable. Yeah. Like I'm not going to do that. And it's the walking. I will tell you, walking and reduce sugar, but like walking.
Wow.
I was one of those people who would like never would have in a million years. Like my mentality was like, it's not enough, but I was wrong.
Okay, I'm going to start walking.
Full stop. I was wrong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Walking it's unbelievable. I mean, if you like music, just like make yourself some box playlist.
Like, am I going to a destination?
Like I walk home. I walk home almost every day from the studio on 20th Street to Williamsburg, Brooklyn. It takes me about an hour and 10.
What?
Yeah, so I walk home. Sometimes if I'm getting sick of it, in the afternoon, I'll like have a little lull in my day and I'll go walk Central Park. Like I'll do the loop. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're really
I'm very committed to walking.
Okay.
You know, sometimes, you know, as business owners, we have things to do. So I can't always be walking around. But yeah, or like for me, if it's my commute, I'm like, okay, I know if I have a busy day, I'm like, all right, I'm going to bake in the time to leave my apartment earlier in the morning because I'm going to walk into the studio. Then I'm going to get like, I mean, I know how many steps it is. So I'm going to get my 7,500 steps at least right there. That's about how many steps. It's an hour and 10 minutes, which like, I don't know. I feel like it sounds crazy to walk from Brooklyn to the city, but it's not that bad.
Okay. I
love it.
To walking.
Walk, especially when you're like.
It does not seem like a crazy goal, but it is.
Just up it, pay attention like I did with mindful eating.
Yeah.
Brittany's mindful walking plan.
I love it.
See how many steps you take now and make like a little baby goal to up it.
Okay.
A little, or a reasonable something.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And so you get to the studio by 6:15.
Oh yes, my day.
Usually 2 classes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you have a 7 a.m. and an 8:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
that's done by 9:30.
Mm-hmm. Or sometimes there's a 9:30 on the schedule. Depends, but those are like my general time slots.
Generally time. And then do you spend time at the studio or do you go right back?
It really depends. It's so funny. That's a very structured part of my day. Get up early, coffee, studio, working out, teaching. After that, my afternoons really flex.
Okay.
I might have like team meetings. I might be filming on-demand content. I might have a random modeling job that day. Who knows? I might be anything about the business, planning who knows what, planning our next pop-up event. So that's kind of like meetings and filming content, but it's really kind of different like every day. Right now I'm running an instructor training. So in my afternoons, I'm back at the studio. I'm working with our new instructors, training them in the new formats. But that'll be done in about like 6 weeks or so. So it just kind of like depends what we're working on and like what's happening.
But are you usually staying in the office or I guess it's bouncing?
I'm around generally the Flatiron area.
Okay.
And then I walk home or I do like my long afternoon walk as like a break in the day.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so what time are you back home?
4:30, 5 generally, 4:35-ish. And then I usually, the late afternoons, I'm like programming my classes for the next day.
Wow.
So I try to take like a moment in the day, like I teach, I'm sort of on in like a performance quality that way. Then like my business owner hat is on in the next several hours of the day. Then I try to like have a moment and have like a break, like have some downtime in the afternoon, come home. And then I start to focus on like what's happening the next day. So I'm like building out my playlist for the next day's classes. I'm making my programming for the next day's classes. Kate's being cute, making dinner. And then we're having dinner at 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
That's the dinner time. And then we're just like winding down and going to bed.
Okay. And then you go to bed at 9:30.
Yeah, about 9:30.
Sweet plate now.
Yeah, girl, that sweet plate is out.
Okay, I want to
Sweet plate's in retirement.
That's out of fashion. Okay, 2025, no sweet plate.
Or like, could you have a reduced sweet plate?
Like a mini size.
But here's what depends. Personalities are different. I think it's hard to have a bite of sugar. Yes. I'd rather have none. For me, and like how I operate. Like for me, it's easier to be like, I'm just not having that, as opposed to like 2 bites. But some people might be like, nah, I don't want to feel like I'm like depriving. So like I need to have 2 bites because I have the ability to portion control. Depends on your personality.
So I was going to try to downgrade like ice cream for like a square of like Q bars.
Okay.
But they're really good.
Yes.
So I need to figure out what kind of person.
Or like if you have it every day, can you have it 3 days?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you enjoy your life.
Mindful eating, mindful walking.
Correct.
And it creates a mindful life.
Oh, would you just look at that? Would you just look at that little nugget, Brittany?
I love it. Okay, so that is your day. And so in terms of beauty workouts, because you always look great working out, teaching your classes. And I recently was tapped for advice on how to do your makeup for a workout. So do you do anything?
Yes, I do. I don't like roll in from my bed as a business owner. We need to put ourselves together. And as you know, there's a camera there. So like, I mean, it's not like a glammed out look, but I like to like, you know, freshen up. Yeah. Like for me, under eyes is like the biggest thing because I have dark circles under my eyes that I'm always complaining to you about. So it's like, we gotta clean it up. Little mascara. I do like a little brow. Like I love like to fill in my brows a little bit, put a little gel, and like that's it.
So no foundation?
No, I don't. Concealer. No, just concealer under my eyes. No, because I don't like stuff in my skin when I'm going to sweat. But for me, like I want to like brighten up my eyes. I want to look professional. I want to look clean and like put together, but natural.
Mascara?
Yes.
Okay.
I like a little mascara.
A little mascara.
Yes.
So we're playing up the eyes.
Playing up the eyes. Yes. Mostly I focus on my eyes and I like leave my skin because like.
And what kind of concealer? What concealer do you use?
NARS.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just actually chatting with the Butini gals about that.
Oh, okay. NARS.
Yes.
You love NARS.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it.
So you do NARS, you do fill in our brows.
Yes.
What product for the brows?
Refi.
Oh,
yeah. I have a little pencil and then the brow gel.
Okay.
Keep it in place. We learned that from the influencers on Instagram. Thank you very much. And that's it.
Are you doing any body care, skincare before class? Or
I don't actually. Yeah. Because it's quick. It's quick. It's quick. The lights are low, but we still need to look like refreshed and professional.
Yes. And then at night, like, do you have a shower routine?
Brittany, I mean, I am probably not your go-to beauty gal. I mean, I have like 4 products that I use. Not really.
Okay. No, but I appreciate that because I think that sometimes people are like, oh, I use
a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Okay. I'm not like married to any one product.
Okay, but hair. You have
such thank you. Hair. I would love to chat about hair.
Supplements?
Yeah. Okay. Hair, I can get down with the hair.
Okay.
So let me tell you. Okay. So I had a lot of, I was losing hair. Like I noticed like, just like shedding during the pandemic, like just shedding all the time. And I was noticing like a lot of breakage around like my hairline, every now and then like random broken hair. And I think it's from like tight ponytails. So I started to take Nutrafol.
And that's what changed your hair.
Oh my gosh. I'm like obsessed with it. Now I don't want to stop. I'm like, Kate's like, you're good. The hair has grown back. So you have a lot of hair. So yeah. So I take supplement. I take Nutrafol. And it took a little while to start, but like I had a couple friends like moms who had recently had babies and like had some like hair loss, particularly around the hairline, that had recommended it. So I was like, let me try it. And then I noticed like all the little baby hair around my hairline grew back. And sometimes like I have broken hair from like my tight ponies. So that's helped like so much.
Do you looser ponytails as you're growing back?
I mean, my fitness look is a center part, slick back, clean pony with some waves from my girls from the Butini team. As you know, they're the ones who do my hair and makeup every time I have to appear somewhere. But I have I try not to have it that tight on like the day to day. If I have a thing where there's cameras, that is my preferred look. Yeah, I like the slick back pony. But on the day to day, yeah, like even like the guy who cuts my hair is like, you need low and loose. That's what he told me. Low and loose if you want to preserve your hair.
Okay, so a low and loose pony.
Yeah, like in teaching, or I just have to move where it is on my head because I was literally breaking. Like I have a broken hair. You can't see it. It's been okay. Yeah, well, because I asked you to let me know if I have a shark fin. Yes, if I have a shark fin sticking up. Yes. Thank you. You would not let me look crazy on the podcast. Yeah. No. So.
All right, so the hair gel.
Yes.
I've been trying Well Bell right now.
Okay.
I had
never tried it.
Really good experience with Well Bell right before her wedding. I was like, it was time. I might as well try it now because I also lost a ton of hair, and I also think I got a really bad haircut that thinned out my hair. So if Well Bell doesn't work, I
come over to Nutrafol.
Did you actually take it as?
Oh yeah. Directed? Yes, I was like very yes.
I should start with that.
Yeah.
3 throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I take it when I remember.
You like forget. No, I get it. No, you have to. Yeah. I was actually like I take it every night.
Wow.
Every night. Take it. Yeah. I don't know if you're supposed to.
Oh, because I'm really bad at my vitamins, supplements, and all that fun stuff. And I was thinking about that. Maybe I just need to switch my routine.
It's in my like nightly care routine. I take my Nutrafol before I go to bed. Mm-hmm.
What other supplements?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so if anyone is like, I do think as we think about fitness, as we feel about our bodies, I know that I feel my most confident when I'm active and I feel good. Like I mentally feel like I mentally feel fit. I physically feel fit, but there's also ebbs and flows.
Yes.
So do you ever feel insecure at a shoot or whatever?
Oh my God.
You work out all the time.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes. Yeah. I feel insecure a lot. I mean, and also, like we were talking about earlier, I changed my body in the last like year and a half. And so for me, I'm now like also having to adjust to the fact that like my weight is going to fluctuate a little bit. I have to be really restrictive to like look the way I might want to look for like a photo shoot. But like, that's really hard to live your life on the day to day and like be an actual person who does things and doesn't like live in your apartment. And like achieve that certain look. So I'm trying to be more flexible with myself, to just like know that like my weight's going to ebb and flow a little bit. Sometimes I'm going to be a little bit more lean. Sometimes I'm not, but it's also like, you got to live your life and like be a human. Yeah, but I definitely feel it's tough. And also it's my job and it's my profession. I'm up in front of people and I'm wearing fitness clothes. So it's also my choice. I don't have to wear anything, wear whatever I want. But yeah, I mean, on a photo shoot, I 100% like, if I know that I have a photo shoot or a video shoot or like some TV appearance, like whatever it is, I'm definitely in my head about it. And like, I'm definitely like being tighter about like my food choices to prep 100%.
And mentally, how do you get out of that headspace of body? Like you said, like people are coming to your workout and naturally are looking at you and your physique.
Yeah.
Like, I want to take that workout because I want to look like her. And I think that's just like the double-edged sword. Like, it's a little slippery.
Right.
As someone in fitness / you're also a model, which adds to the photo shoots and everything else on your plate. And so if you are like I worked really hard to be at this shoot and I feel really good, but I still feel like not 100% confident, is there anything mentally that you tell yourself to like switch that off?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I'm a perfectionist by nature, so it's just like, it's constantly like trying to like give myself grace and like soften. Okay. My personality, like my innate thoughts are not soft. So it's like trying to give myself a little bit of grace all the time, trying to just like relax a little bit. And like, I have high standards for myself.
Oh, you kind of sound like me.
Do I? It's like the business. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. So it's just constantly trying to, and I know that like I'm representing my business and like, I'm a leader for the other women on our team. And so like, I don't want to be a crazy lady. I need to be like, I mean, I want my body to look like strong and healthy and attainable. And like, I'm just, it's also a matter of like, again, it's going to fluctuate a little bit. I'm not always going to be at my most lean. And like, that's just like life. And you also like, I have to live my life.
Right. And if there are people listening who want to maybe just begin their fitness journey, or that it is also on the other side is sometimes you just don't know where you can start, or maybe you had a baby, or maybe whatever it might be. Like I know in the winter, I tend to eat a little bit more. And I am ebbs and flows. And so sometimes when you fall off the horse, it's really hard to get back into rhythm.
I think so too.
What advice would you give to someone who does want to figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, I get it too. Like, I know that if I'm not feeling at my best about my body, it's like harder to show up in person into a studio and like look at myself in mirrors. Like, I think that's normal. Yeah. I think in that case, like maybe you do an on-demand workout, like do it in the comfort of your home where you don't feel like you're being judged, or you're not looking at yourself in a mirror and like dissecting yourself throughout the experience of when the endorphins are supposed to be flowing and you're supposed to be feeling confident or on your path to that. Wait, go back to the initial question though, because I had another good point.
Yes. So my question was, so for someone who, what advice would you give to someone who's embarking on their fitness journey and have maybe fallen off the horse, or maybe just had a baby, or sometimes just want advice or guidance on how to figure out that journey for themselves?
Thank you. Yes. I think also to that point, like just starting really small and lends itself to the exact classes that we teach at KK Sweat, which is low impact, high energy workouts. But there's like different ways that you could strength train, right? You can literally pick up the heaviest weights and like focus on building your muscle mass and like how heavy can you lift. But then there's also bar, sculpt, land, what we teach at KK Sweat, which is like lighter weights and higher reps. And I think for a beginner or somebody falling off the bandwagon or somebody just intimidated to start, I find, though they're not easy, that workouts like we offer at KK Sweat, lighter weight, but higher reps, kind of break down a little bit of that intimidation factor. There's also, it's like a little bit safer. You're using lighter weights. The risk of injury is a little bit less. So doing those kind of like high rep, low weight workouts, I think are a good place to start.
Yeah. And sometimes we're doing, honestly, just no weights.
Exactly. Or your own body weight.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Also,
you're like,
girl.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. And so, okay, my last burning question that I've been meaning to ask you since, actually two. So one is, as you're talking about lighter weights, higher reps versus heavier weights.
Yes.
Is it true that if you use heavier weights, you'll bulk
up? No. Everybody needs to stop thinking that. Okay. All of our bodies are different. You're going to respond differently to different workouts. But no, there's like a huge movement even right now for like women, especially like 45, 50 plus, like picking up weights and strength training and resistance training. Everybody's body responds differently to different things. So like you might like something better than something else. But that is like so not a thing.
Okay.
Like that you're going to get bulky. I mean, that's also like there's so many contributing factors, like your actual genetics, how your body responds, you know? But no, like picking up weights like helps to increase your metabolism, helps to give you lean muscle mass. And no, the answer is no.
Okay. Is it the 8
No. No, and on that, you know what I will say? I will tell you this. Whenever I notice my arms are looking particularly more lean than the norm, it's usually when I just, it's called progressive overload. Like over time, you got to add a little bit more weight. Like you can't use the same weights for your entire life. You'll plateau. You over time need to increase your weight, even in like an exercise that we do all the time at KK Sweat where our arms are out here and it's light. But like when I change those weights from 2s all the time, I up it to 3s, or bicep curls that I used to do all the time with like maybe a 5-pound weight, I upped it to 8-pound weights. That's when my arms change.
And they're not getting bigger, they're just getting more defined.
More defined.
Oh.
Again, my genetics come into play and I don't tend to carry weight in my arms. So there's that. However, every time like my arms look a little bit more lean, I have recently made a change to the weights that I'm picking up. It's a small change. Okay. It's still like a low. Yes. But every time I will tell you.
I keep you the 8-pound. Yeah. What about when people have a jiggle on their arms? I think it's a different, is it like the back of your arm?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's a muscle. I have a jiggle. First of all, there's a muscle here. It's called your triceps. Okay. And if we're not flexing them, they will move like the rest of our body moves.
I'm like, all right, well, how does Kara have
his
muscle?
I mean, I think that we should not, I think that my arms are genetically lean.
Okay.
And then I also do a lot of fitness and I eat well.
That's true. Okay, we gotta eat well. No, it's just funny because I was like, how do you can't target.
No, that's the thing. Like you should work your body holistically.
Okay.
You can't decide, like even when we're doing tricep kickbacks and overhead extensions and whatever it is, like your body is deciding where it's going to naturally distribute weight.
Okay.
And unfortunately, like you can't like conduct. Yes, you cannot choose.
You can choose and then heavier weights does not mean bulk.
No. But if it's less intimidating to you to pick up lighter weights, do that. Maybe that's your starting point.
I got all my burning, and so we love protein.
We love protein. We love walking. We love a smaller, reduced sweet plate.
Just a smaller sweet plate, or maybe spend 2 weeks and see how you feel afterwards.
Yes.
Wow, I learned so much. I so appreciate you. If you have not been to KK Sweat and you live in New York City, please go to the Flatiron Studio. And if you don't live in New York City, you absolutely have to try one of her live streams or on demand on kksweat.com. You'll probably see me in the background doing the workout in the studio. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you. We love you. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, guys.